Time now for the front page on the Wells Report. This for Tuesday, September 26th, 2023. This is a digest of news since the end of yesterday's show and while we were asleep. 2024 election news. President Biden and Donald Trump will head to the picket lines in Michigan and elsewhere. USA Today reports that President Joe Biden and Donald Trump will head to Michigan in back-to-back days this week, previewing a fight for working-class voters in the 2024 election as the UAW continues its strike against the nation's three largest auto companies. Their trips, the men's trips, which come nearly 2 weeks into the UAW strike, plants operated by Ford Motor Company, General Motors, and Stellantis, reflect dramatically different ways President Biden and President Trump hope to win support of blue-collar voters who could swing Michigan and other Midwest states. In an extraordinary move for a sitting president, President Biden will join the picket line today with UAW workers in Detroit, backing the union's demands for higher pay as he flexes the Democrat Party's ties with organized labor. His visit will come one day before President Donald Trump, the frontrunner to win the 2024 Republican nomination, has said that he plans to meet with striking auto workers in the Detroit area tomorrow in a push to court blue-collar workers for his 2024 run. Speaking of walking the picket line, walking is kind of something that President Biden, has trouble with, and his team is working to try to minimize any chance of him taking a spill on the campaign trail. This from Fox News. President Biden's campaign team is on a mission to prevent him from tripping in public as the 80-year-old continues to struggle with a diagnosis of, quote, significant spinal arthritis, unquote. The White House physician made the diagnosis earlier this year. President Biden has had multiple public tripping incidents that have only compounded questions about his age. Now, his team has made a conscious effort to make him wear tennis shoes and limit stair climbs to prevent another embarrassing fall. This, according to Axios, reporting today. Biden is undergoing physical therapy with specialist Drew Contreras, who also worked with President Barack Obama. Contreras has recommended several exercises to improve the president's balance, according to the outlet. Observers noted that when Biden began wearing sneakers in public this summer after his nasty fall at the Air Force Academy, he also began boarding Air Force One via shorter stairs to a lower level, another move aimed at preventing falls. Hunter Biden has filed a civil lawsuit claiming violation of his digital privacy. This from CNN. Hunter Biden filed the civil lawsuit today against Rudy Giuliani and his former attorney, claiming they caused total annihilation of his digital privacy and violated federal and state computer privacy laws through their alleged efforts to hack his devices. In the lawsuit filed in federal court in California, Hunter Biden accuses Giuliani and Robert Costello of spending years hacking into, tampering with, manipulating, copying, disseminating, and generally obsessing over data they were given that was taken or stolen from his devices. Defendant's statements, this is a quote, defendant's statements suggest that their unlawful hacking activities are ongoing today and that unless stopped, will continue into the future, thereby necessitating this action, unquote. Today's lawsuit is the latest that Hunter Biden has brought as he pursues an aggressive legal strategy against his detractors. It comes as Republicans launch an impeachment inquiry into his father, President Joe Biden. Law enforcement is concerned about possible MAGA retribution regarding the fortunes of former President Donald Trump. This is being reported by the New York Times. As criminal cases proceed against former President Trump, heated rhetoric and anger among his supporters have the authorities worried about the risk of political dissent becoming deadly. FBI special agents have reported concerns about harassments and threats being directed at their families amid intensifying anger among Trump supporters about what they consider to be a weaponization of the Justice Department. Their children didn't sign up for this, a quote from senior FBI supervisor recently testifying to Congress. And the top prosecutors on the 4 criminal cases against Mr. Trump, 2 brought by the Justice Department, 1 each in Georgia and New York, now require around-the-clock protection. As the prosecutions of Mr. Trump have accelerated, so too have threats against law enforcement authorities, judges, elected officials, and others. The threats are prompting renewed concern about the potential for an election campaign in which Mr. Trump could promise retribution to promote violence. Also, by the way, in political news, what a government shutdown might mean to you. This from USA Today. Longer airport lines, hazardous drinking water, shuttered national parks. The disruptions that come with shutdowns of the federal government have only become more familiar to Americans in recent years. If congressional Republicans fail to cut a deal by this weekend, the country could see its 22nd shutdown in the last 5 decades. Amid largely stalled negotiations on Capitol Hill, the Federal Office of Management and Budget, the OMB, has already begun the process of advising agencies which employees it may have to furlough ahead of a looming deadline Saturday at midnight. Last time Congress failed to pass a government spending bill, nearly 1 million Americans were furloughed or went without pay, according to President Joe Biden writing on X. Tech news today, there's been a data breach that has affected universities and the students there. USA Today reports a data breach affecting nearly 200 colleges and universities are causing students to feel uneasy as the semester starts, and experts urge them to safeguard their information and credit. Progress, a software development company, announced in May that unauthorized users exploited vulnerabilities in its MOVEit transfer and MOVEit cloud programs. The company released a security update days later, but not before C10P, a hacker group, gained unauthorized access to people's personal information, according to the U.S. Department of Homeland Security in an announcement in June. The breach particularly hit higher education institutions, as they tend to use multiple second-party websites to offer health insurance for students, such as United Healthcare, and to verify people's degrees, such as the nonprofit National Student Clearinghouse. Those two websites rely on MOVEit software to relay information to higher education institutions about current and past students. International news this morning. Ukraine is claiming that their special forces have killed the Russian Black Sea Fleet commander in a missile strike. This from Reuters. Ukraine Special Forces said yesterday they had killed Moscow's top admiral in Crimea, along with 33 other officers in last week's missile attack on headquarters of Russia's Black Sea Fleet in the port of Sevastopol. The Russian Defense Ministry did not immediately respond when asked by Reuters to confirm or deny that Admiral Viktor Sokolov, the commander of the Black Sea Fleet and one of Russia's most senior Navy officers, had been killed. If confirmed, Sokolov's killing would be one of Kiev's most significant strikes on Crimea, which Russia seized and annexed from Ukraine in 2014. For its part, Russia's warships are retaliating with missile strikes. They are launching those strikes on Ukraine following the alleged assassination of the commander of the Moscow Black Sea Fleet. Kiev has claimed that Viktor Sokolov, the admiral, and 33 others were killed in an attack on occupied Crimea on Friday. This is one of Kiev's boldest attacks yet. But the Russian Defense Ministry published a video today that appeared to show Sokolov participating in a meeting with Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu and other Russian military leaders. CNN cannot confirm whether the man in the video is Sokolov, when the meeting took place, or where his video appearance was recorded. The Kremlin earlier refused to comment, that's today, refused to comment on the Ukrainian claim that Sokolov had been killed. Also in Ukraine, being reported by the Wall Street Journal, the first U.S.-made M1 Abrams tanks have arrived in Ukraine to help with their counteroffensive. This according to President Volodymyr Zelensky speaking yesterday. The questions now are how quickly can they enter the fight, how much impact they will have on what is a shifting battlefield. Advanced Western-made tanks and other armored vehicles have become a focus in debates between Ukrainian military leaders and their backers at the Pentagon, some of whom have wanted Kiev to use the equipment more aggressively in battle. Ukrainian military leaders who initially attempted to follow the U.S. approach face setbacks because Russian minefields and aerial attacks have shifted, and because of those attacks and minefields, the Ukrainians have shifted to a more gradual approach that has drawn criticism from Western observers. M1A1 Abrams tanks are among the world's most sophisticated, have some technical advantages that can make them more useful to Ukraine than other Western tanks. In travel news this morning, a man is blaming his wife after a TSA checkpoint found a loaded weapon in his luggage. A King George, Virginia man told Transportation Security Administration officers at Reagan National Airport that a loaded gun discovered in his carry-on baggage was put there by his wife, blaming her for the mishap last week. The man was going through a TSA checkpoint in the Arlington, Virginia airport last Thursday when officers found the gun. According to a TSA press release, the X-ray unit alerted officers to take a closer look at the man's carry-on bag, and when opened, the gun was located and then confiscated. As a result, the man was given a citation, faces a civil penalty from TSA that can carry a fine of up to $15,000. Quote, "It is important. It is disappointing. It is disappointing to continue to see travelers carrying their loaded guns to our safety checkpoints," said John Bush, TSA's Federal Security Director at Reagan National. Quote, "My advice is that when packing for a flight to start with a completely empty bag, and all travelers must pack their own bag so there are no surprises when someone gets to the checkpoint," unquote. In sports news today, Charlie Woods has won a junior golf tournament. His caddy was Tiger Woods. This from CNN. Woods was back in the winner's circle this weekend, but not the one golf fans grew accustomed to seeing. This time, Tiger Woods was his son Charlie's caddy, as the 14-year-old shot the best round of his career to win his age group's regional qualifier for the Nota Bigay III Junior Golf National Championships. After opening with a 1 under 71, the youngster rattled off 9 birdies to post a career-low 66 at Mission Hill Resort in Orlando, Florida, and stamped his ticket to the championship finale at Coasati Pines in Coushatta, Louisiana. That's going to happen in November. With rivals closing in on the final stretch, Woods displayed the type of calmness under pressure that saw his father amass 15 major championships, finishing with back-to-back birdies to win the tournament by a single stroke. And finally today, rest in peace for actor David McCallum. He has passed away at the age of 90. David McCallum, this by the way being reported by USA Today, actor David McCallum, who became a teen heartthrob in the series The Man from U.N.C.L.E. in the 60s, and was the eccentric medical examiner in the popular NCIS 40 years later, has passed away. He was 90 years old. McCallum died of natural causes surrounded by family at the New York Presbyterian Hospital, according to CBS in a statement. David was a gifted actor and author and beloved by many around the world. He led an incredible life, and his legacy will forever live on through his family and countless hours on film and television that will never go away, the statement continued from CBS. Scottish-born McCallum had been doing well in appearances in such films as A Night to Remember, that was about the Titanic, The Great Escape, and The Greatest Story Ever Told. He played Judas in that film, but it was The Man from U.N.C.L.E. that made the blonde actor with the Beatle-esque haircut a household name in the mid-60s. Actor David McCallum, gone at age 90. And that is today's front page.